we're going to be doing a lot of shoulder work. And as I was pondering the shoulder work, I was thinking about how symbolic this area is. And it's such a tender area because we tend to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We tend to hunch forward on our computers. So there's this combination of sort of an internal feeling as well as an external action that creates tension. If there's depression in the body, the sternum is depressed, that causes the head to go forward. If we're overachievers, we tend to have a lot of tension and holding on in our shoulders. So there seemed to be an important balance as we're working with shoulders about letting go as well. So we're going to be doing some kind of like nice body work for the first 20 minutes of practice to just try to release and help you find letting go in the shoulder. So the shoulder joints are super mobile. And that's a wonderful thing because it allows us to reach up and grab something in the top shelf. It allows us to turn and grab something behind us in the car. But what it comes as a sacrifice is stability. So it's one of the most, it is the most mobile joint, and it's the least stable. So it's why we're often really working to find stability. So we've been doing a couple different things. So I want to return to that this week so that we relearn it or reiterate it. So the first one is the ball jar action. So I want you to really learn this so that when we do weight-bearing poses, you can take a pause and make sure that you're doing this. So if you put your left hand underneath the ball jar and your right hand at the top of the ball jar, and it can be a small jar, like a pint jar, it doesn't have to be a quart jar. And you're gonna imagine that that jar is full of honey and it makes it a little sticky. So you've gotta bear down a little bit, and then you're gonna unscrew it with both hands. So your left hand screws to the left and your right hand screws to the right. And that gives you that little bit of external rotation. If you now take your focus away from your hands and put it into your shoulders, you'll notice that the shoulders kind of move into place. So that would be the first action. Let's take that with the other side. So if your left hand is on the top and your right hand is on the bottom of that honey jar, you're going to turn your bottom hand to the right and your top hand to the left. So you bear down equally with all knuckles and you twist that jar. And it just brings that stability and I guess condensing into the shoulder joint. So there's a little bit more, it draws the humerus, this arm bone, back into the midline and the shoulders into a better action. So that's going to be the work that we're going to be doing when we are weight bearing on our hands. But for now, I'm hoping that you all have access to 2 blocks. If you don't have access to 2 blocks, if you have access to racquetballs, tennis balls even, though they're not the greatest, but you could use a tennis ball too. Or if you happen to have the little roller balls that we use on our bodies. If you don't have any of those things, then you can also use a folded up blanket, and I'll kind of show those variations. So the very first thing we're going to do today is come onto our backs. So I'll meet you on our backs on the mat. And by the way, a strap will be helpful today as well. So if you don't have a strap, a bathrobe belt or another sort of soft canvas belt or any other belt is going to work. So let's come on to our backs. Your knees are bent and your feet are flat on the floor and your arms are out in T. And the first thing you're going to do is just arrive. So I want you to take your focus now inside your body. You can drop your knees in towards each other and take your feet wide. And for the next few breaths, I want you to just work on releasing tension anywhere in the shoulder girdle. And I would add to that neck as well. So I think they're both pretty intrinsically related. So just take your mind's eye into your body. This will be our first meditation today. And breathe into anywhere that you feel that you're generally tight in that area. could be shoulder blades, it could be biceps, it could be neck, it could be collarbones, it could be sternum, could be trapezius, which are the upper above the shoulder blades, where, you know, when people rub your shoulders, those are generally trapezius. When you go, oh, that's usually trapezius. So breathe into that. So when I say arrive, I mean let go. Like it's like you were holding a pencil and somebody said, let go of the pencil, and you just let it drop to the floor. And I'm always amazed as I just arrive here in this lying down position and work on letting go. All of a sudden, my arms will rotate into a better rotation. My neck will soften. My upper back will start to rest on the floor. And maybe even my front ribs, maybe that's where I hold tension, and they soften down, and my back ribs soften down. Deepen your breath. So begin to find your breath. Remember, there's that optimal sort of 5.5 seconds of the breath that's been researched to be sort of the optimal for letting go. And you take that and you let that go. And you can even now, maybe there's something that's coming into your awareness that you know about in your life, a place where it's hard for you to let go. It could be about a relationship. It could be about the world. It could be about governance. It could be almost anything. And I want you to just let go of all of that right now. As if you were holding onto a pen or pencil and you just drop it. Just drop it. Let those four corners of your body rest on the mat, on the earth. That would be left hip, let it go. Right hip, let it go. Left shoulder, let it go. Right shoulder, let it go. And now take your awareness as you continue to breathe into the four corners of your neck. So as best as you can imagine what those four corners would be, imagine those four corners gently starting to spread away from each other. And see if that changes anything else in that shoulder region. So we'll return to this idea throughout our practice today, letting all four corners of the neck gently soften away from each other. Another breath here, letting go. Even the backs of your hands or the palms of your hands deepening. Last breath there. And now I want you to start to reach out through your fingertips so your fingernails actually touch the floor. Your palms are face up. And I want you to sweep your thumb up and over until it points towards your feet and your palms are face down. And just pause there and take a breath. And as best you can, let go. And just notice what you notice. Like I notice a little more tightness in my left forearm than I do in my right forearm. I notice that my right shoulder rotates better. It's more mobile than my left shoulder. So just take a moment to see if you can notice what you notice. And on your next inhale, you're going to start to release those palms from the floor and rotate them back to the open-handed position. And then you're just going to go back and forth like that and make it slow and mindful. This is your meditation. This is your opening mind-body connecting work. And so the hands are going to stay in continuous motion. They just move so that the thumb points towards the feet and then the thumb points towards the head. And you just feel that rotation in the whole shoulder joint. And if you have one shoulder that you recognize is tighter, maybe just watch that shoulder and give it a little bit of a mental nudge. And set your breathing along with that, inhaling and exhaling. And let that breath expand you, especially in the upper chest. We're going to be doing a lot of work there, so really let your breath come into the upper reaches of your torso. As your hands come back into palms face up position, we're going to continue this practice in the opposite direction. So now the pinky side of the hand lifts up and tries to point towards the crown of the head. A little bit harder rotation. And then as you exhale, it comes back to palms face up. And begin to explore that very slowly. Just rotating the palms. Maybe you balance on the thumbs and the palms face towards the crown. And then you exhale and let them rest on back. And you keep going like that. And you breathe deeply, letting that breath flood into the chest, finding the rhythmic action of the breath along with the movement. And you might even start to notice here as you rotate this palms face up, there's a slight movement of the shoulder blades. It's subtle, but you'll feel a slight lifting and maybe even a drawing into the body when the palms are faced behind you. So keep going, a couple more like that. Seeing if you can link it with the breath. So the inhale is the movement, the exhale is the return. One more. And return. Beautiful. Now take your hands and try to keep your upper arms just where they are, but flex your elbows so that your lower arms, your forearms, are in cactus tilt or goalpost arms. And now I just want you to start to snow angel your elbows, if that makes sense. So you just bring your elbows down by your sides, like you're trying to tap them to your ribs. Let your hands drape on the floor, so don't lift them up if you can help it. And then drape those elbows back up until maybe the fingers touch overhead. And continue that movement. And as you do, can you put your attention on your shoulder blades? Now you might notice that as the elbows drop down, the shoulder blades come down the back and towards each other. And as the elbows rise up and the fingers touch, the shoulder blades glide up. And there might be some of you who don't have that glide. And that's because you've got all these other structures. It's estimated, I think there's 17 muscles that govern the shoulder joint. So some of those muscles for you are either frozen tight or weak and atrophied. And so either they're clamping down on the shoulder blade so it can't move, or you just don't have access to use them. But keep going. You can even speed up a little bit if you want. So you just really mobilize those shoulder blades. And if you wanted to repeat this later on in the week, this is a great one to do with little balls underneath your, in the area of the fleshy, soft tissue part between shoulder blade and spine. And you can move them from the top of the shoulder blade area towards the bottom and everywhere in between. And you just do this mobilizing. All right, let's pause there. And let's bring the elbows into our sides now, and our fingertips are going to point to the sky. Take a breath there. And again, just let go. Let all the tension release from the body and even from the fingertips, just to feel that difference. And then inhale, take your arms up overhead, so they're pointing into the sky. And you're going to imagine that someone's lifting up your wrists. And so you're going to lift up your hands. You can even press down with the back of the head here. And you're going to try to get those shoulders off the floor. And then you're going to exhale, relax down without bending the elbows. You're going to try to press the humerus head into the floor. So the humerus is the bone that goes from the elbow to the shoulder. Okay, so inhale, lift it off the floor. You can even press the head down. And then without bending the elbows ever, you drop the humerus head down. It's plug in and plug out, right? We've done this before. So unplug as you press and you reach. And you might notice that's a little bit more like a cat tilt. So you might feel a little bit of spread on the upper back. And then exhale, it's more like a cow tilt. And you might feel, and you could even accentuate that with a little bit of spinal arch. So we'll just go back and forth. Let's not weight bear on our head for the next few. Let's let our head be relaxed so we really feel the cat-cow. So you inhale, relax, but lift those hands up. Feel that cat shape or the back round, and maybe even accentuate it. And then exhale, feel the cow shape. And just mobilizing those shoulders, cat and cow. And you might be lucky enough to feel little releases, a little popping of vertebra as things kind of release. Try not to put too much effort into it. So you want to have that balance between effort and surrender. A couple more like that. We're going to finish up with the plug in. So that would be the more of the cow shape. And then, just to be really clear, on that cow-shaped back, you want to bring in the abdominals. So you want to have the front ribs dropping into the belly. And then from there, you inhale and take your arms overhead to point to the wall behind you. As soon as the belly as soon as the ribs pop out and the belly is no longer working, you've gone too far. So you try to keep the belly strong from ribs to pubis. And when you get to the point where you can't go anymore, or you've noticed you've flattened even your lumbar spine on the floor, see if you can come back to a little lumbar lift.
Hello.
A little bit of core work. Sorry about that. And then inhale, extend through the spine, extend through the crown.
At 2005 9th Street, Suite A. Please shift or reduce your energy use between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. to save energy when
Keep
electric rates are
breathing.
highest. To update your notification preferences, please visit
And then exhale, release, and release that. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn off my phone loud volume. Okay, you're going to come on down and look down at the floor and come all the way up to sitting. And this time, if you have blocks, you can grab them. I'm going to make my blocks like a T. So the block that's closest to me is the long ways on the mat at the middle height. The other block is going to be at a T either on the middle height or, depending on my flexibility, on the top height. If you don't have blocks, you could use balls like I said, or you could make a burrito roll and then have a second blanket for your head. So that's not going to be quite as effective, and you can also try it the long way. I think that might help today to place it down the center of the mat. But if you have blocks, please place them like a T. You're going to lie down on them so that the bottom edge of the block is just about between the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. So if you reach up, you'll find a little point to those shoulder blades. And you're going to try to put the block right about there. And then you carefully lean back on it. And then you put the other block underneath your head. And usually when I start, I'm tight, so I need the head block on its highest. I usually can change that over time. Now you're going to take your palms straight out to the side in a T. And this is called pin and stretch. So the block is doing the pinning part, and the stretching part is going to be your arm. So you're going to turn your palms face down, just like we did before. And then you're going to rotate your palms face up. And then you're going to take them all the way back into the balancing on the thumb, pointing towards the back wall. So you just go back and forth between that full range that we did before, and you breathe, and you let the front ribs drop in, and you could even take that, just even exaggerate those end points. And if you feel something, great, just appreciate that and let this mobilize the spine. If you feel nothing, you can pause and you can move your block up about a half of an inch or one vertebra. And then you start over again. And you take those hands palm space up. So here's just an exploration for you. It's called pinning and stretching. And just notice what's hard for you, where you feel the pull, and notice that that might be something to give attention to in your practice today. And you're still rotating those palms face down and rotating them all the way back to face the wall behind you. And you're breathing, and the frontal ribs are dropping in. And because we're not supposed to be getting massages right now, this is a way to give yourself your own massage. And just to place one more little bit of awareness in here, because we introduced it earlier, what's your neck doing? So think of all four corners of your neck and imagine them moving away from each other. And see if that gives you a subtle shift or change in the way that you're experiencing or expressing this pose. Okay, if you're ready, you can go up one more level. So you reach underneath you or you scoot down. It gets a little harder because your other block can't come in as close as you get farther down. But keep trying. Maybe you can put it a little bit on an angle there. And we'll just go for a couple more of that. Pinning and stretching. Just rotating and just noticing as you go, where are your hot spots? And this is a way you can give yourself a little self-massage and be your own massage therapist. Don't forget to breathe. And see if you can link the breath with the movement. Inhaling as the palms face open to the back, and exhaling as they come on down. And this then can be also our pranayama. Okay, one more breath like that. Good. And now you're going to inch your way back down the block a little bit. You're going to remove the block from underneath your head and you're going to replace it with your hands. And the heels of the hands are going to grab the occiput, and the front body is going to get really strong here because now you're a little bit more vulnerable. And as you exhale, you're going to lift your head up to this towards the, kind of you're lifting it and you're curling it. So you're trying to lift it up to the sky, but you're going to be looking at your knees. And you're going to squeeze that occiput and see if you can just lengthen it a little bit more. And now take your mind's eye into the body and think about those four corners of the neck. And just imagine what that could mean here. And then you're going to release that very slowly, being so careful. Place your forearms on the floor and just push your way back up to sitting. And we've got one more with the block just to add a little bit more excitement. And again, this could be with a burrito roll as well. So either your block is flat and it's wide on the mat, or you use your burrito roll if you're a little more tender in the low back. So Kathy, use your burrito roll today. You need as much tenderness as possible. The rest of us have to make that decision. You're gonna come onto your block, so you're sitting on it with your sacrum, the lowest part of your spine there. And then you're going to very gently scoot so that the sitting bones are off of the block. And you'll notice that you get a little cow tilt. Yeah. And now I'm going to scoot down just a little bit more. So every couple breaths, I scoot down. And so that block starts to catch the iliac crest, it's called, the upper back of the hips there. And then I keep going. And I just do a couple more scoots until my body can drape over the block. And for some people, that's not going to happen because your backs are super tight. But I'm working to get my sitting bones actually on the floor. So the block is capturing that iliac crest. But you just do the level you can. You can also use your elbows here, little baby fish, and you just press yourself gently. The abdominals are awake. They're aware, they're supportive, and they breathe. And you just feel that nice sense of back arch, back bend, supported with the block. One more breath. Can you breathe that up into the rib cage? Up into the clavicles? And then very gently release. Using your abdominals, pick up your hips off the floor. You're going to come onto that block again, so it's right underneath your sacrum. And we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to let our spine just kind of hang for a moment. So we get a little bit of a cat tilt. And sometimes I'll even bring my feet up into the air here. And so I can let the legs start to fall towards my face, fall being or letting go being an important word in today's practice. Seeing what you can let go of, and you're just doing a little supported. It's not a shoulder stand. You're on your back, but you're just letting the block help you stretch out your low back. And then why not give yourself a little leg squeeze or leg massage. Give those hamstrings or the side of the hips a little massage there. Super nurturing in your practice. It's such a great way to warm up is these, opening practices. You could even, if your knees are tender, you could rub circles around the joints. That's the Ayurvedic remedy. It says that joints love circles. So if the knees are tender, do little circling actions. And long bones love striping towards the heart. So we do those circle around the knees, and then you can just stripe down the inner edges and the outer edges. And breathe. All right. Beautiful. Bring your feet back down to the floor. I hope that gave you a little bit more awareness of your shoulders. Have your blocks handy. Have your strap handy. We're going to need those. I'm going to place my blocks towards the front of my mat. I'm going to have my strap up there as well. Let's go ahead and come up to standing. And we'll start standing by just lifting our heel. Oh, checking to make sure someone didn't get locked out. All right, you're going to lift up your heel and just lift up so that you feel a little opening in that foot. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other one, just a little bit of warm up going back and forth. And you can start to make that a little bit more rhythmic. Warming up those feet. Okay, now we're going to reach for the blocks and we're going to warm them up the other way. So remember, we have two ways the feet really like to move. So you're going to step one foot onto the top of the block and you're going to squeeze your toes over the front of it. And then you're going to imagine you could pull that block back in space, like you're grabbing it with your toes and curling them as much as you can, creating this transverse arch in the foot. And you might notice that it also acts to give you an arch. So you squeeze that, you're trying to, round that foot and lift the arch up. One more breath there. Whew. And then reach that and go ahead and shake it out or release it and shake it out. Let's try second side. So step on that block so that the balls of the feet are on the block, but the toes hang over, and then you squeeze. It's like you're trying to almost bring the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot together. And that allows the arch then to lift up. And just wake up those feet. Because you're going to use these feet. You want them to be awake because we want them to be part of each pose. Not just some appendage way down there, but they're a part of it. So let's switch that one more time. Stepping on the block and squeezing over the front edge of it. Trying to create that lift in the arch. And trying to feel that transverse movement of the arch that actually curls forward. Good. That arch is lifted up deeply. And then we release that, shake it out. And second side. All of the foot, toes hang over, squeeze and lift. Try to bring the balls of the feet and the heel together. So that creates this uplift in your arch. Squeeze that. Couple more breaths. What are the sides of your neck doing? That'll be one of my fun little reminders. Like, Are they moving softly away from each other? I know I always feel like I have to look, and it's like a texting neck. I have to look for it and see what my feet are doing, but really I don't have to. I can feel it if I put my mind's eye there. I would release that and then shake it out. Okay, now you're gonna grab your strap. And you're gonna have that strap in a nice long strap, so I don't need much of a loop right now. Just gonna have a nice long strap, and it's gonna be generously wide. So what I mean by that is I don't want you to just stress out your shoulders. I want you to just get movement in them. And I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see, and my feet are going as wide as the sticky mat. So as I inhale, I'm just gonna pull on that strap as if I'm trying to widen the strap or rip it apart. I'm going to breathe up into my chest. And as I exhale, I'm going to bend those knees and I'm going to curl like a cat tilt. I'm going to try to use the abdominals up against my spine and I'm going to tap the strap to the knees. And then I inhale, sweep it around. So that comes up as the inhale. As we exhale, I'm going to bend the knees. This time I'm going to stick the booty out and I'm going to try to tap the strap on the booty. So it's more like a cow tilt. So we inhale, pulling that strap up. Big deep breath, filling the chest. Exhale, curling, rounding, bending knees, tucking chin in, feeling that stretch. And then inhale, pulling up. Inhale, big stretch into the chest. Exhale, sticking booty out, bending the knees, chin lifts, strap taps the booty. Inhale, lift. Exhale, curl. Use your abdominals. Inhale, lift. Big inhale, pull that strap apart. Exhale, curl. And this is the arch, like the cow tilt. Inhale, press up. Big and wide and expansive. Exhale, curl. Use your abdominals. Inhale, lift. Exhale, curl in the opposite direction. Booty really sticks out so you can feel that strap tapping it. Inhale, up. One more each direction. Exhale, curl. You're still trying to pull that strap apart. Inhale, lift. Exhale, tap. Beautiful. Come on up. Relax that strap off to the side. Shake your hands out. Here we go, Surya Namaskar. Let's see if we can add some of that great shoulder movement into our practice today. Bring your hands into your heart. Take a moment to close your eyes, to extend all four sides of your neck, to bring your throat right over your heart so that the throat has an easy expression that comes from your heart. And your heart is stacked right over your pelvis. So all those things that ground you come up into your heart. One more breath. As you exhale, release your hands. As you inhale, fly, look up. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Use blocks or a chair if you need to, so that you take your time, rock forward slightly so that you don't feel all the weight just on your heels, but on the balls of the feet too. Get-go lizard, remember that block work we just did with our feet? Grab your block. Bring that energy all the way up into your heart. Exhale completely. Release your head and neck. Extend all four corners of the neck away from each other. Inhale, press yourself up to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, soften your knees and take your right leg back to a bent knee lunge. And you take a moment here in this bent knee lunge to make sure that your front knee is right over the ankle. You can rock a little bit left and right just to get a little synovial fluid into those hips. Okay, and then from here, I want you to just shrug your shoulders up towards your ears and then roll them around. That's going to lift your hands up off the floor. So let's try that a couple times. So just shrug and roll the shoulders. Shrug and roll the shoulders. One more. Shrug and roll the shoulders. Beautiful. Place your hands back down. Rock it forward and back Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Grab that block with your feet. Feel that underneath your feet. Inhale, press up halfway up to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, soften your knees. Take your left leg back to a bent knee lunge. Take a moment to make sure that knee is right over the ankle and the feet are, in essence, still awake on that block as if they're still sort of grabbing that block. Beautiful. And then from here, we roll the shoulders back to lift our hands up and down. And inhale it up. And exhale down. Inhale it up. And exhale down. And inhale it up. Beautiful. From there, we plant our hands. We take the right leg back to meet the left for plank. We're on our hands. We're going to unplug and plug. So we did the same action on our backs. The elbows never bent, but we plug and unplug. See if you can keep your neck in line with your spine. See if you can keep all four corners of the neck extending away from each other. Last breath. Beautiful. Drop your knees so they're 1 inch off the floor. Walk your feet forward. Good. And then press down and inflate your back. Relax your back and press down back into downward facing dog. And take a moment in this dog to just rock left and right. You're going to breathe deeply, or you could circle your hips, but let this be your own exploration into your outer hips, into your hamstrings, maybe even into your intercostals on the side body, trying to encourage the body to lengthen. From here, find your dog. Step your right foot forward 1/2 of a step and feel the new stretch that you just got from that. Now grab your block with your feet. It gets a little harder. And then bring that energy up the legs. Oh, baby, yeah. And then step that foot back. Take a breath. Beautiful. Step your left foot forward 1/2 of a step. Oh, and feel into that hamstring. And then remember your blocks and see if you can grab them and lift that energy up into your hips. Beautiful. And then walk your way to the front of the mat. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Chairs and blocks are helpful here if you need them. Couple more breaths. Let the head hang. Say no. Say yes. Take a breath, let everything go. Just drop out into the pose for a moment. Letting all tension, especially from the shoulders and upper back, release. Beautiful. From here, inhale halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana. Bring your hands to your shoulders. Lift up the front of the shoulders. Lift the heart. Breathe up into the heart space. On your exhale, drop down a little farther. On your inhale, press up to standing. Exhale, release your hands down. Inhale, fly them up overhead. Look up. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees. Take your right leg back to a straight leg lunge. And we just pause for a minute here again, and we make sure that that front knee is right over the ankle. And the feet are grabbing the blocks, bringing that energy all the way up into hips. And then from here, we repeat the same thing we did on the other side. So the shoulders shrug and they roll. And then shrug and they roll. And you've got to use your legs. You're going to feel it. And use those legs to help you shrug and roll. Beautiful. Place your hands back down. Rock it forward and back. Uttanasana. Inhale halfway up. Ardha Uttanasana. Soften the knees. Take the left leg back. Straight leg lunge. Knee is right over the ankle. Feet are grabbing those nice foam blocks to bring muscle energy up the legs. Exhale completely here. We'll begin with the shoulder shrug, rolling and pressing. So you're coming up just a little bit and then down, shrugging and rolling. Beautiful. Plant your hands, step your right leg back to meet the left. Take a moment. You can do a scapular push-up if you want. And then come down onto forearms. Take another breath there, pulling your abs together. And then exhale, drop your knees, drop your hips. Come into Sphinx pose, extending through your toes. Fingertips on, or forearms on the floor. They're pressing down and forward. Your abdominals are drawing in and up. One more breath. Beautiful. From here, we're going to lay the next part of our belly down on the floor, and then the next, and then the next, and the next, and the next, until we come all the way down onto the chest. Here, we're going to reach our hands behind us, interlacing the fingers, and we're just going to roll to the left. You don't have to worry about form. Let it be a little free, and open your right shoulder to the sky. And then roll over through the chest, roll over to your right. Don't worry about your legs, what they're doing, just enjoy the opening of the chest. And then keep going, inhaling and exhaling. It's like a massage for the chest and the shoulders. I noticed that a lot of people have shoulder issues because their chests are so tight. So this could be a nice little massage for the chest. Finishing up on the second side. And then coming back to the chest, hands stay clasped. Just lift yourself up in half Shalabhasana, seeing if you can get wrists and shoulders equally away from the floor. Keep that. Bring your hands by your sides. Look forward. Inhale up through Cobra to tabletop and back to Child's Pose. Take a cleansing breath. Good. All right, you're going to come up to hands and knees. We're going to take this into Twisted Child's. So in hands and knees, you're going to open your right arm to the sky. And you're going to pause here for a moment, and I want you to look down at your left hand. And I want you to remember your honey jar. Okay, so here we go. You bear down and you start to twist the honey jar off to the right as you open the left shoulder. Use that lower hand to help you open the shoulders and then release. Woo, good. Let's try second side. So you're standing on your right hand. That's the honey jar side. You inhale the left arm up to the sky. Look down at your right hand. There's your honey jar. Bear down all corners of the hand. Reach and unscrew and see if you can use that to open up the other hand. One more, other arm, other shoulder. One more breath. So you're creating some infrastructure here to help you open. Release it down. Take a cleansing breath. And you could do another breath with a cow and with a cat. We're going to keep doing that, but we're going to add the full twist. So right arm to the sky, honey jar with the left. Take another breath here. Maybe turn your face to the sun. And then exhale, release that hand all the way through till you're down on your right shoulder. Take your left hand and place it at the crown of the head and open both elbows equally to the side. And see about your neck. Can you extend all four corners of the neck? See if that subtly changes the way the body shapes with this pose. Breathe and release. Push up your way back to center. Take a cow tilt, looking up, sitting bones up. Exhale with a cat. Second side, honey jar on the right, left hand opens up to the sky. Look down at the bottom hand, honey jar unscrews. Open up, stack those shoulders. One more breath, face to the sun. And exhale, swing it on through all the way to that left shoulder. Left hand comes to tippy fingers at the crown of the head. Open both elbows equally away from each other. Breathe. Check in with your neck. What are all four corners of the neck doing in this pose? Breathe. Release. Press it on down. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Beautiful. Extend your arms so that you're ready for downward facing dog. We're gonna start it the same way we did before, where you honey jar down and your knees rise up. You inflate the upper back, so it's trying to do like a cat tilt. And then you plug in the shoulders and reach on back to downward facing dog. Make sure that the neck, all four corners, stay equally extended, equally soft, equally engaged. And you breathe down through those honey jar arms and hands, and you breathe onto the foot blocks, and you make your foundation super strong. And you bring that foundational action up through shoulders and hips. Beautiful. Last breath. Bring in your abdominals. Inhale to tippy toes. Walk your way slowly to the front of the mat. Uttanasana, standing forward fold, knees soft, feet engaged. Inhale halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana. Hands come to the tips of the shoulders. We lift those shoulders up so we can bring the heart forward. We exhale and take the hips back a little bit more. The abdominals draw in. We press down and we come up. And if you can keep going and just open up that heart to the sky, be my guest. One more breath, lifting up and stretching your shoulders apart. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, fly. Exhale, dive, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, soften the legs. Take your left leg back to a straight leg lunge. Keep your left hand on the honey jar. I'm having my hands tippy fingers. That feels doable to me. And if I go flat, what I notice is that my core collapses. So I'm going to keep myself up on tippy fingers so I can keep that core lifted up. And I'm going to remember the honey jar in my hands and the blocks on my feet. I know that's a lot to remember, so just pick one if you need to. But the right hand is going to reach forward in space, and then I'm going to shrug that shoulder and roll it around until it almost reaches the back leg, and then it drops forward almost like a cat, cow, exhaling forward, inhaling, rounding. The legs are steady and strong. The back hip never collapses down. It stays high to the sky. We've got one more just like this. We're going to finish it up in a twist, opening the body. And then exhale, release that down. Rock it forward and back. Take a few more rocks just to warm up those legs. And then step it forward. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Breathe it in. Exhale, soften the knees. Take your right leg back to a straight leg lunge. Take a moment to make this pose super active. You'll notice that my back leg isn't dropped down. It isn't hanging to the floor. That would be a whole different pose. But instead, I'm placing my feet on those imaginary foam blocks and I'm lifting that energy up into my hips. My right fingertips are tented and they're on the honey jar. My left arm reaches forward. I inhale and circle. That's the cow part. As you exhale, it's like a cat. Inhale. There's a little bit of a back arch and I look up to the sun. Exhale, I look down. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Step your left leg back to meet your right. You can either stay in plank, think honey jars, or you could do scapular push-ups, a couple of those, just to strengthen and mobilize your shoulder blades. Inhale here. You're going to drop down onto your right forearm and your left forearm for forearm plank, drawing that belly in and up. Inhaling, extending through crown. Exhaling, knees to the floor. hips to the floor, untuck your toes, Sphinx pose, forearms bear down and forward, belly draws onto the spine. One more breath. From here, we're going to try to stay lifted as much as we can. So bring muscle energy up the legs. Reach your hands back behind you. Goofy finger interlace. Inhale, Shalabhasana. Lifting wrists and shoulders as high as each other. Breathe. Work that back. Work those legs. Have your buttocks strong. Last breath. Beautiful. Keep your chest lifted. Drop your hands down by your chest. Inhale through cobra, through tabletop. And this time, you're going to walk your right knee in towards the center. You're going to sandwich your left leg behind. You'll take your feet wide so it looks like a reverse child's pose. And then you sit back. And you're trying to bring both hips equally back. I'm going to come onto tippy fingers here. Little bit of honey jar action. And then I just pull those hips back. So we start to stretch those outer hips. And breathe. Send your breath deeply into those outer hips. Groan if you need to. Nobody can hear you unless you've got a loved one at home who's eavesdropping. One more breath. Maybe your kitty. Beautiful. And then come on forward to hands and knees. You're going to switch that out. So you're going to place your left knee into the center. And you're going to take your right leg behind. Feet are wide like a reverse child's pose. Come on to tippy fingers. Pull both hips equally back. Give yourself a little bit of core support so that you're keeping your spine safe. Breathe into those outer hips. Stretch it. Let the neck, all four corners of the neck extend away from each other. Find that softness in the neck. So often we hold so much tension in that part of the body. Encourage you to release it. Last breath. Beautiful. From here, rock up to hands and knees. Prep your hands for downward facing dog. Toes are going to tuck. We're going to root down, lift the knees off the floor, round the back. There's the unplug. Plug the back and move back to downward facing dog. Beautiful. Walk your right foot forward a half of a step. Stretch into that whole right leg. Use the block on that right foot and pull that energy up into the sits bone. Yeah, baby. Woo. And then go ahead and stretch it back. Let's try second side. Half step forward. Stretch through that left heel. Imagine that block underneath you so there's a little action in the foot, bringing that energy up the leg. Wow. Step it back into downward facing dog. Beautiful. Inhale to tippy toes. Walk your way up to the front of the mat, Uttanasana. Exhale, deeply fold, Uttanasana. Inhale up to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to Utkatasana. Listen carefully, there's going to be a little shift. So if balancing is an issue, you might want a chair or you might want blocks in front of you. You're going to shift over to your left leg and you're going to wrap your right leg on top. Beautiful. Now some of you can double wrap. You're going to bring that foot all the way around, but not all of you. I love blocks here because it just helps make me feel steady. Okay, you're just going to bring your hands into prayer for a moment and see if you can use those prayer hands to lift up your heart. Wow, good job. Release it back down. Find your blocks or your chair. Unravel into Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. Ooh, let your knees be soft. Let your feet grab those imaginary blocks and pull that energy up. Here we go, second side. Blocks are really handy. You rock onto your right foot. You wrap your left leg around, and here you can just sit back down. If you have the ability, you can double wrap. I know that's not everybody's ability. And then you just find that stretch. If you can, you bring your hands into prayer. The prayer hands lift up the heart. We're prepping for eagle legs, right? I think you're recognizing that. Exhale, reach that back down. Unravel your legs, bow deeply into Uttanasana. Release the effort from the blocks. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Hands in prayer. Use the prayer to lift the heart. Use the prayer to lift the belly. Let the hips drop back. And then on your next inhale, press and lift. Beautiful. Release your arms. Take a cleansing breath. You can roll the shoulders around here. Beautiful. We're going to take eagle arms as a separate endeavor for a moment before we link them together. So just take your arms out in front of you, palms face up, and go ahead and open up your heart. Beautiful. Then take your right arm and wrap it over the left. Keep your upper arms parallel to the floor. Your lower arms, I know that gets a little tricky here because your lower arms are higher than your upper arms here. They're away from your face a bit so that you've got a right angle. And I notice that a lot my chin likes to jut forward here, but I'm going to pull my throat back and make sure that my throat is on top of my heart. Big deep breath here as the elbows rise just a hair. And as you exhale, you curl elbows to the knees and you round that spine for eagle pose. It's like you're looking inside your nest to see what the little baby parts of yourself might need today, and then what you can let go of. And here we go. We straighten the legs, we sweep the arms up and over, and right down the backside of the body to release. Take a cleansing breath. You can roll the shoulders. And then the hands come forward, palms face up, and inhale to open the heart. Exhale, left arm over the top. I hope I said those directions right. Sometimes I forget right and left. Just make sure that you have done the opposite one that you started with. So the upper arm bones are parallel to the floor. The lower arm bones are straight up, and the throat is in line with the heart. So you might notice that when you bring the throat in line with the heart, there's a little bit more opening through the back of the scapula. Inhale deeply. Exhale, elbows to the belly. Look deep inside your little beautiful nest. All those things that you create that make you who you are. And then inhale, fly. Wrap it around. Beautiful. We've got one more balancing hip stretch that will make our eagle even more potent. So if you have blocks or a chair or a wall, you're going to do this next pose with me. So we're standing on our right leg. We're going to take the left leg across like in figure 4. And you'll notice that my foot is awake. It's not just hanging out in the pose, it's active. And I'm going to come on down and I'm going to find those blocks. And instead of curling into a cat shape, I'm going to work my cow shape. So to do that, I like to do a little bit of a bend and a stretch here with the standing leg so that it's almost like tippy bird. So as the leg stretches, my head goes down. As the leg bends, my head comes up. So I'm not just rounding, and I'm giving a little massage through that whole hip. Okay, you're going to finish up in your bend as best you can. Either you stay holding on to your props or the hands frame the shin, so they frame by touching the foot and the knee together. We take the hips back as best we can. So we think cow tilt. And then from there, with that cow tilt and strong abs, arms come out to the side, we press down, and we lift all the way up into modified tree, inhaling. And then exhaling, come down slowly. Good. And release the hands all the way down and around. You can roll the shoulders here. Shall we try second side? So standing on your left leg, bring your right ankle across. Find your prop if you need it. Maybe some of you don't need it. Some days I do, some days I don't. Every day is different in a yogi's life. So you honor what that day brings, and then you start to bend the knee and straighten it. And you're thinking more cow than cat. So it's easier for us in this position to take the cat shape. And I want us to feel a little bit more about the cow shape. So we're going to keep the knee bent now and stretch. Maybe you can come up onto your fingertips, take that cow shape, pull in the abdominals, take the arms out to the side, see if you can lift the heart, and then inhale, root down, whoa, to come up to modified tree. Good. One more breath here. And then you're going to release that all the way down. Beautiful. We're coming to the front of our mat again. Flying the arms up overhead, Utthita Hasta, and then exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step the left leg back, straight leg lunge. Anchor the back foot. So now it's square to the back of the mat. Adjust accordingly so that the front heel bisects the arch of the back foot. Right elbow to right knee. I want you to, on this first action, I want you to stick your booty out. So there's a tendency on this pose for people to round the tailbone under and feel almost like a cat tilt. And then when they come up, those hips are under and it's hard on the legs. So instead, take like a cow tilt, where your hips go back, your heart goes forward. Now you have to engage abdominals and then press down and come up to your warrior two. A little bit better for the hips, so we can try that here too. So just kind of hinge forward and stick your booty back. And then pull your abdominals up, root down with your legs and come back up to warrior two. I think that should feel better. If you look at your back foot, there's a tendency for this front knee to drop in. So you're going to look at your back foot, take your right hand and tap that front knee till it taps right over second and third toe. And then you press down through that back foot and you lift your front arm and you look over your front arm, your front fingers, and then you find all sides of your throat and you extend them and you breathe. You feel the power of this pose. Remember the blocks underneath your feet? Whoa, one more breath here. And then inhale, reach forward. Exhale, reach it back to Goddess Warrior. And feel that stretch. This time we're just going to do little arm circles here. Just circle them around. See if you can feel how your legs are stable and your arms can still move. Beautiful. Press yourself up to a straight-legged pose. Massage it out if you need to. Take a breath. From here, we drape our right hand down till it sits right underneath the knee on the shin bone. And then we unlock that shin bone so that the knee is not just forced into a straight position, it's soft. And then you take your mind's eye onto that back hip, that back foot, and stick your booty out a little bit. Bring in the abdominals. And drape the hand down the leg. From there, strong legs. They're on those imaginary blocks. They push your left arm open to the sky. And your abdominals help you because it's a twist, right? And your right hand opens that honey jar a little bit. And your neck extends in all directions. And then you release. Beautiful job. Good. You're going to lift that back heel. You're going to rock it forward and back. You can take your time and do a lot of rocking. I think that's really good for our legs to feel their power and how they propel us. And then step it forward. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step your right leg back to a straight leg lunge. Anchor that back foot so that it's square to the back of the mat. Bring your left elbow onto your left knee. Make sure that the front heel bisects the arch of the back foot. Stick your booty back, get a little bit sassy. Looks more like a cow tilt than a cat tilt. And then pull your abdominals in. The elbow cinches that knee right over the second toe as you open the arm to the sky. Utthita Parshvanottanasana. Good. From here, we just roll the shoulder around. So mobilization is so good for the shoulder. It doesn't sit alone. It needs mobilization of the intercostals and the torso to have full freedom. Beautiful. From here, stick the booty out again and press yourself up to warrior two. You're going to take your fingertips onto your front knee and turn and look at the back foot. The fingertips, they tap that knee into alignment. Oh, there it goes, right over the second toe. The back foot is on that imaginary block, and you're pulling energy up the legs. Then extend the left arm forward into warrior. Hips are right underneath your shoulders, stacked beautifully. And you feel the awakening of that front thigh. And you breathe. And the feet are on those imaginary blocks. They're like grabbing them so that the hips feel supported. Last breath. Inhale, reach it forward for goddess. Exhale, send it back. Beautiful. I think we did a couple arm circles on this one. Yeah, but your legs aren't moving. They're strong and powerful. You can do it. Beautiful. And then straighten that front leg and give it a little love. And when it's almost straight but not quite, you reach down to underneath that shin or underneath the knee and you unlock the knee. And you feel how the pressure of the back foot gets clearer and stronger. And you can start to lean forward and get a little sassier. You can stick the booty back and apart. And then from there, you reach down, honey jar, left arm, opening up, using abdominals to help you twist. See if you can extend the neck in all four directions. One more breath. And then exhale, bend that front knee. Or actually from here, we're going to come on to Prasarita. So you're going to come to the, pointing your feet towards the long edge of the mat. Take a breath here in like a half Prasarita, so your body is at a right angle until you can just take a moment to organize your feet, make sure they're parallel to each other, the knees are soft, and then you root down on those block feet and you lift up your sitting bones and you bow forward and you breathe. One more breath like that. Then your hands, they come out to the side, they reach behind you, and they stretch. Big, deep breaths into the upper reaches of the chest and the ribs. So you make sure that you're mobilizing them and inflating those in support of the shoulders. Last breath. Right, reach your hands down, mashed potato your feet together, not all the way together, they're still apart, but the feet are turned out, elbows come to knees. Go ahead and press your knees open, then walk your hands onto your thighs, onto your knees here, and you just drop your left shoulder to your right ear and breathe and feel that stretch along the back of the body. And then you come up to center and you exhale your right shoulder to your left knee and you feel that stretch along the back ribs possibly. And then come back to center, take a little bit of a squat, opening that pelvic floor, and then press yourself up, mashed potato your feet back together. I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to put it all together. So we're going to try briefly to move into eagle pose on each side. So you're standing on your right leg, softening it. You're swinging your left leg around. Maybe that's all you do. Maybe you just stay here and appreciate the balance. Otherwise, hands in prayer. Open up the heart. The top leg is the bottom arm. Swing it under. Inhale, lift up the elbows. Exhale, see if you can use those strong legs on that foot block to help you have strong, active legs to bring elbow into the belly. Good. And then inhale, sweep the arms up, release the leg out, and exhale, bring it down. And just shake the legs out. And you can do any variation. You can just do the very first wrapping. So you don't need to take that all the way to the end. Let's try second side. So standing on left leg. Big deep breath. Exhale as we wrap or double wrap. Chairs are good here, blocks, walls, whatever you need. Hands in prayer. Squeeze those strong legs from the feet up. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, top leg is bottom arm. Breathe, inhale deeply. Exhale, curl, round, elbows into the belly. Look into the nest that you've created. Good. And then inhale, sweep and unravel and release it down. Beautiful. You've earned time on your back. Have your blocks and your straps handy. Roll yourself down slowly. See if you can curl through cat. Beautiful, all the way down. Interlace your thumbs, stretch your arms overhead, point your toes, feel the stretch through the front of the body, breathe. Extend your neck softly in all directions. One more breath here. Beautiful. All right. You're going to take your feet so that you're in like a Setu Bandha prep. We're going to start with Sukhi Randrasana. We're mostly doing this for its twisting power today. So my right ankle is over my left knee. And I'm going to just notice how the weight of my body shifts when I do that. Does all my weight go onto my right hip? If so, see if you can use your abdominals to bring you back into center. Arms out in T. Both shoulders equally on the mat. The abdominals are softly engaged. There's a teeny bit of a lumbar curve. Breathe into the opening of that right knee. And as you're ready, you swing your hands through and around the left thigh or shin and you curl and do a cat tilt. And try to get forehead to the ankle or to the shin. And then release that down. Now don't change anything about this shape. Glue the right ankle to the left knee, but drop onto your left side so that you start to stand on your right foot. Now you probably won't be able to see it, but my left foot, the one that's kind of tucked in and back, is awake. It's not just hanging out there, it's actually somewhat flexed as if I'm standing on it. And then from those strong foot block, foam block feet, I bring up the muscle energy into my core. I look straight up to the sky and release all four corners as best I can into the mat. Another breath here. Now I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to place it on my right thigh and I'm going to rotate it away from me. So I'm moving it into external rotation. And I'm just going to feel where I feel that stretch, gets a little bit into the outer hips. I feel it more in the bottom hip than I do in the top hip, but I'm not sure that that's universal, so you're just going to feel where you feel it. One more breath here, big deep breath up into the chest. And gently release. I really love to open up shoulders and hips at the same time. I think it's really powerful and really therapeutic for our backs. Let's just have you rest in your Setu Bandha prep here. Taking big deep breaths. And then you're going to step your left ankle over your right knee. Your feet are awake. And you start with just sensing and noticing how your weight changed when you did that. Did you fall over onto your left hip? If you did, use your abdominals to bring you back to center. Try to rest both shoulders and hips down on the mat. Inhaling, it looks like a little bit like a cow tilt, little arch of the spine. As you exhale, you swing your hands through around your thigh or your right shin, and you curl into cat tilt. From here, we drop our right foot back to the floor, hands out in T. I'm going to glue my left ankle to my right knee, and I'm going to move that whole shape over to the right until my left foot touches the floor. And my back foot, the foot that is tucked under, is awake. It's remembering its foam block. And I'm looking straight up at the sky. I'm just going to feel that pose and where I feel it. Breathe into the heart. Breathe into that soft, beautiful neck. And I'll take my right hand and place it on my left thigh. Press and rotate it away from me. So it goes into external rotation. I'm just going to notice where I feel that. So interestingly enough, I feel this on the left side. So I felt it on the left on both sides. So that just tells me my left hip is a little more tight. My right hip a little more resilient. So just notice for yourself where you feel that. And then use your hand to just gently stretch into that pull and accentuate it a little bit. So you get a little myofascial pull here. One more breath. And gently release out of that pose. Stand down on both feet. Take a cleansing breath. Notice the shaping of your body. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. We plant down with our feet. Lift our hips up just a little bit off the floor. And then just notice your tendency. Did you immediately shove your tailbone under and grip your booty? Or did you use your foam block feet to bring that straight, solid muscle energy down into your booty? So it's not gripped under. It's strong, but it's in neutral spine. And then you reach your hands underneath you and roll the shoulders underneath you. So we're working for that shoulder opening. And then instead of just pressing through those strong feet and trying to tuck the hips under, we try to use the feet to stretch into our heart space. It's like you're moving the chest towards your own face. And your legs, they don't flop out to the side. You feel those foam blocks underneath your feet. And you press into the heart and you breathe. The arms are strong and engaged, and they're pressing down into the floor. And you're breathing into the upper reaches of the chest. Breathe deeply. You've got one more breath. See if you can try to pull your hands apart isometrically. And then I like to release my hips straight down onto my wrist. That's not for everybody. Some people don't like this. You can take your palms face down and then stretch your legs out straight. And then I just let them flop out to the side. And I get a nice passive stretch for my collarbones. And I just breathe up into that. Now, you might try to find a variation of that. Let your breath guide you, guide how long you hold the pose, guide where the stretches felt most acutely, guide where the mind goes to. Okay, we've got one more Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, so you're going to bend your feet again. You're going to release your hands from out from underneath you and do one big snow angel. Arms overhead, stretching, and then they come back down, snow angel back down again, and you goofy interlace underneath you. You're going to lift your hips up off the floor, but remember you're not squeezing them and tucking them under and shoving all this tension into the hip area. Instead, you're going to let them hang a bit. Then you roll the shoulders underneath you and use those strong foam block feet to pull up that energy and to push with your legs until you feel a stretch in your chest. You root down with your hands and your arms, and you find length in all four corners of your neck. The knees don't fly out to the side, but they stay migrating towards one another or neutral. One more breath, pressing into that heart space, opening up the chest. And then as you release, cow tilt those hips back down onto your wrists. And then walk your legs out and let them fall out to the side. If that's not comfortable for you, you can try palms face down. If that's not comfortable for you, you can try palms face up. I'm just going to breathe here, feeling that sweet, subtle stretch in through the collarbones. Couple more breaths. And gently lift up off your hands or wrists. Let them come out from underneath you. Lengthen out your legs. Snow angel your arms up overhead. Bring your feet together in Tadasana. Point your toes and stretch. Release to Shavasana. Palms face up, feet falling out to the side. All four corners of the neck softening away from each other. Feel yourself letting go, letting the tension unravel from inside, deeply inside the body, as well as out. Let go as best you can, letting any tension out of your jaw, your eyes, your mind. And if there's any tension in your mind, like there's a thought that you just can't get rid of, I encourage you to hold on to it for a moment with your mind, like just almost like you could surround that thought and squeeze it. And then let it go. So you use your mind like a muscle, like you would a tight muscle. You squeeze it and then let it go. And see if you can feel how the brain just kind of starts to relax out after that. So you might try that a few times. If there's something you're struggling letting go with, then just see if you can surround it. Surround that struggle with attention, intention, maybe even some muscle or brain action. Squeeze it. Tell it you hear it. And then let it go. Watch it floating. Let yourself deeply rest. Let yourself take in all the amazing magic of a yoga practice, a mindfulness practice. Your body is absorbing everything that it got challenged by today. Just invite the learning in. Deepen your breath. Let yourself feel the breath entering every little part of you, through the skin, through the subtle body, through the muscles, through the bones, through the tendons, through the fascia, maybe even bringing in that oxygen into your blood and your brain. As you're ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretch in any way that you please. Get juicy. And as you're ready, one last big stretch. You're going to roll over to your right side. And we'll meet in Sukhasana, hands in prayer. Eyes soften down. We feel into this body, mind, and spirit that we brought 90 minutes ago to the practice. Amazing. It's been shifted and challenged, nurtured, and opened. Take a moment to breathe that in. And we pause to give thanks that we are able to come to this practice as we are. We give thanks for this time and this space in our lives. We give thanks that we have a community to practice with and teachers to guide us. And we let some of this blessing just seep out of our pores and watch it pouring like a flood into the world around us, into our homes, into Los Osos, San Luis, California, and then across the country and out into the whole world. Beautiful. And we seal that with a breath and an Om together. The enlightened in me honors the enlightened one in you. Namaste. Thanks for bringing your practices together today. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Namaste.